Assalamu alaikum. I am starting my online class by greeting dear students, respected parents, and all who are listening. Today I am going to discuss about voice sense. By the end of the lesson, you will be able to know what is the definition of voice. Number two, know what kinds of voice. And number three, know the change of active voice to passive voice. Dear student, please follow me. This is our objection. At first, fix up our aim and then to start our journey. This is our objection. Or by the end of the lesson, you will be able to number one, know what is the definition of voice. Number two, know what kinds of voice. And number three, know the change of active voice to passive voice. Dear student, at first I shall write down the definition of voice. Please look at the blackboard and try to understand. Dear student, voice. Voice. Voice is the form of the verb. Voice is the form of the verb which shows whether the subject X or is acted upon. Voice is the form of the verb which shows whether the subject acts or is acted upon. This is the definition of voice. Now, dear student, please follow me. Now, kinds of voice. There are two kinds of voice. Dear student, kinds of voice. There are two kinds of voice, such as follows. Number 1, active voice. Number 2, passive voice. Dear students, already I have written down the kinds of voice. We know that there are two kinds of voice such as follows: active voice and passive voice. We try to know now what is the definition and example of active voice and what is the definition and example of passive voice. Active voice. Active voice. Dear student, please look at the blackboard very minutely. Active voice. When the verb itself completes the work of the verb, it is called active voice. Dear student, the definition of active voice is when the verb itself completes the work of the verb, it is called active voice. Example: I eat rice. This is active voice. Dear student, I again read out this definition of active voice. When the subject itself completes the work of the verb, it is called active voice. Example: I eat rice. Students, please look at the blackboard. This is a subject and this is the main verb and this is the object. The verb of this sentence, subject completes. So here subject is active. For this is active voice. Now I am giving you the definition of passive voice and example. Passive voice. Passive voice. A verb that is not done by the is not done by the subject itself and suffers from passive or passive action or passive action actions is called passive voice. Is called passive voice. Example: rice is eaten by me. Dear student, I shall again read out this definition. Please listen to me. Passive voice, a verb that is not done by the subject itself and suffers from passive or passive actions, is called passive voice. Example: rice is eaten by me. Here, me is a passive here, and the action of the verb me here is completely passive. So this is the passive voice. The student, now I am delivering to you what is the role of how to change active voice to passive voice. The student, there are five general rule how change active into passive voice. Dear student, please look at the blackboard. There are five general rules how we change active into passive voice. I have written down these rules by serially. Please write down your notebook. Rule 1. Rule 1. The object of the active voice active voice sits as the subject in the passive voice. Dear student, this is the rule 1. I read out this. The object of active voice sits as the subject in the passive voice. Rule 2. According to the tense of active voice, according to the tense of active voice, according to the tense of active voice, a number person and gender of the subject of the passive voice we use auxiliary verb. Dear student, this rule is a very important rule when we do change active voice into passive voice. I read out again. According to the tense of active voice and number, person and gender of the subject of the passive voice, we use auxiliary verb. This is the important rule. Dear student, now rule number 3. Rule 3. In the passive voice, we use past participle form of main verb. In the passive voice, we use past participle form of main verb. This is rule number 3. And rule number 4. Rule number 4. In the passive voice, in the passive voice, in the passive voice, we use by. We use by. Sometimes we use to, we in the special sphere. In the passive voice, we use by. Sometimes we use to, we in the special sphere. The student, last rule is rule number 5. Rule 5. The subject of the active voice sits as the object in the passive voice. Dear student, now I write down a structure. If we do follow this structure, we can easily transfer active to passive voice. The structure is object plus auxiliary verb plus VPP, that means the form of past participle of main verb, and then by, and then subject. This is a structure. We need to change active voice to passive voice. Dear student, this is the rule number 5, and this is the structure. If you to follow these rules or structure, I think that you can easily change active voice to passive voice. And in the next class, I will discuss about changing the active voice of different types of tense to passive voice. Number today, thank you all.